Hi everyone, this is Kilzhot from 99 Gaming, and this is Preacher Reaction. This is Season 2, Episode number 6, SOKOSHA. So I am just super hyped up. If you missed this episode, in my opinion, it was the best episode that I've seen. I know I'm going to get a little pushback with this, but the storyline was awesome. It set the stage for so many things. I have not read the comic book. Give you guys a little bit of time to log in, but those of you kind of logging, here's a little tidbit for you. And you'll know that the soul collectors were Japanese, and SOKOSHA is actually a Japanese word that means it's for an imperial tank that they had. And then the story really centers around this armored vehicle. So SOKOSHA, armored vehicle, tank. There's kind of a little bit of your hidden clue. The more I watch this show, the more I am getting attached to the characters. The more I want to do more. Like with Walking Dead, I love doing hidden clues. I love doing reactions and spoilers. With Preacher, we left it kind of all reactions at this point. But there's a lot of hidden clues and a lot of things in there. So really awesome episode. Just want to say what's up to a few people. I see Stephanie in the house. I see Rial, Moody Girl, Moody the Muddy Girl. Kale says smile. So we'll get a few more people in here. And I'm going to go through just a lot of the highlights that happened with the show tonight. I do want to say we are kind of on our marathon because in the past you guys challenged me with live streams and doing them. So yesterday we did Chill with Kills. We had Walking Dead, Comic-Con spoilers. Tonight we've got Preacher. Tomorrow night we're going to have Random Things. More Walking Dead on Wednesday. And then a brand new addition to the channel. We're going to do the 999 Gaming Top 9 on Thursday. So a lot of cool stuff. Grimes Girl, if you don't watch Preacher, I'm telling you, you might want to get caught up with this because the story to me is just super deep. The dialogue is very Quentin Tarantino-ish. It's very Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs type of thing. So hopefully you can appreciate that. And because there's one scene that just totally blew me away, and that's where they were having breakfast. It just absolutely was amazing. So I'll get to that just in 1 second. I want to lay a couple ground rules. First of all, those of you that are in here, if it's your first time in chat, thanks for being here. If not, then you guys know the more that you type in chat, I'm liable to read your comments. So if you want to include in a video, then definitely type a lot of stuff. And when the video goes live, get over there and leave comments because we're going to start running some of your comments on the spoiler channel as well. We're going to do duplicate videos as time permits. So it won't be every live chat, but the more you comment on a video, the more I'm going to go in and sort of interact and talk about that. So here we go. Let's kind of set the table because the first 5 minutes, I got to tell you, I was lost. And that's what, when it came full circle, that's what really got it for me. So the couple that was there, and the percentages I think are important because it varies person to person. So we saw them put the needle in, and I gotta be honest, when he had that device out there, I'm like, oh no, here comes the rectal exam. So I was glad they put it in the back of his knee. That kind of made me feel a little bit better about the whole thing. So and when they extracted it, I'm like, is that a tumor? Is it, it's some kind of, lymphatic fluid, or what, what are they using this stuff for? And, evidently the soul is stored in the back of your knee. That's a pretty interesting place for your soul. So they took 15% of this man's soul, and they paid him $150,000. So, he's got 85% left, and, there's a lot of questions. And then what I thought was interesting is these soul collectors, they like hot dogs. that was pretty interesting to me. So I'll get back to that in 1 second. I see Steph Richardson has a question. So Kills, do you think this Jesse lost a piece of his soul when the soul sucker took it? He did, and I think we're going to get to that toward the end. I definitely want to kind of go full circle and talk about the long-term consequences of losing 1% of your soul, because Jesse's was a little bit different. But we know these soul collectors, and maybe the name of their company was SOKOSHA. I don't know if that was the exact thing. I think it was something in Japanese, and then they had a really catchy title. It was Soul Happy Go-Go. that was the translation that they had on the side of their truck. So they took this piece of soul and sold it to Richard and Mildred. Mildred was just completely lost. So you think she's terminal or she's clueless, but I guess she just needed a little bit of soul, right? And they charged them $2.7 million for Richard to get his wife back. So when that happened, I still didn't know what they were giving her. It's like, it's some cure, some part of the body. But there was a lot of there are a lot of things that happened that you found out a little bit later on. So I think it's very important that Dennis, the older man, you should know his name at this point. So Cassidy and Dennis have this relationship, and Cassidy is tying his shoes. And what's really awesome about that is later on in the episode, you find out that Tulip says to Cassidy, like, is that your father? Is it your uncle or something? And he's like, no, because Cassidy's a vampire, so he's living forever. It's his son. So you find out all these things he's doing for him, and I think it's so symbolic that in the beginning he's teaching this old man who is his son how to tie his shoes. How awesome is that? So if you're watching this and you're really looking for all these cool breakthroughs and these details, they have got some just deep meaning to this stuff. So a couple other things. Jesse's in the sauna. I was trying to figure out the meaning to that. Tulip's cooking. And just a really awesome thing. You see Cassidy, he's like, hey, by the way, I can be a bastard. I just want to say I'm sorry. Is there anything that you want to say to me? And Jesse, just off the cuff, is you're forgiven. And we've got these two things working at the same time. So as this conversation, and they do this a lot in Preacher, which is so cool for me. They keep you kind of into the conversation. Remember when they went into the strip club and Cassidy had the conversation in the background? Or actually, they had the conversation with the manager of the strip club, and then Cassidy was fighting in the background. They kind of go back and forth, like you're so paying attention to this dialogue, where you're listening to everything they're saying at breakfast, but yet the Saint of Killers is, he goes in and breaks the guy's hand, and then he stabs another person, decapitates another. So it's dramatic on one end, and it's just very casual, like you're just drawn into the conversation. Just super deep. But one thing is they deviated a little bit off course, and we found out Laura the lounge singer. So Cassidy sort of kept throwing, he was kind of throwing Jesse under the bus a little bit. It's like, yeah, you really showed an interest in her. And it's like, no, I didn't. Where Tulip ultimately breaks down and says, all right, spit it out. What happened? And the whole time the Saint of Killers is walking up and getting closer and closer. Another bit of comic relief when Tulip does say to him, like, what happened? And he says, well, I didn't marry her. So just kind of a dig at Tulip. And you know what? I'm going to pause it right there because I'm going to go through just all these awesome things that I took notes in and just see what was your thoughts, the people here right now, about the breakfast scene and the Saint of Killers going on along the side. So leave your thoughts, leave your comments. I'm going to read a couple of them, and then we're going to talk about that little girl that led the Saint of Killers to the apartment complex. Yeah, so Jesse does. Yeah, I like the analogy, God complex. However, Jesse holds a power that he might need. We don't know at this point what is happening with God. Did God leave? Is he in hiding? Did God lose his power? All of the above. So I think part of it is Jesse's complex, but at the same time, he doesn't want to relinquish the power because he might need it. And maybe, ultimately, maybe he's going to give that power back to God to empower him. So just a couple thoughts that was out there. Oh, yeah, Mama Tattletale. I hear you. Preacher was epic tonight. Emmy, as we're going through the comments, I'm going to give it a 10 tonight. I'm not going to say it pulls the whole series up to a 10, but to me, tonight was Walking Dead. I mean, it was that good. So, not every episode I've been kind of that into, but about halfway through it, I was like, "Wow, this is really good." God is looking for the best jazz singer in the world. Don't know if he's going to find him. Yes. So I'm gonna hold off on that because a lot of that happened at the end, Steph. I know it's kind of easy to sort of start with that, but I'm going to go through some of the other things, and then we're definitely going to get to the Saint of Killers and the Soul. And so hold that thought. You're about 15 minutes ahead of me right now, so we'll get caught up with that shortly. Exactly. I agree, AJ. It was one of the best episodes. All right, so couple things so far. Thoughts on the breakfast scene? To me, the breakfast scene was the best. The dialogue there, just the back and forth. And how cool was that? Like, Jesse finds the bullet. Of all the things the bullet stops in, it stops in yogurt. I mean, it went through wall after wall after wall, but it finally hits the container of yogurt and it stops. Peppy, we're going to get to that shortly. Because I think that everything that happened with the Saint of Killers at the end it definitely sets the stage for what's going to happen the remainder of the season. Yeah, and Tulips, I think it was the M&Ms, but how cute was that? She was putting names on the pancakes. Yeah, definitely. All right, well, let's move on. I'll catch you guys up on a couple of the other categories. So we saw the numbers of the different places. So the girl took them to number 19. Jesse, he heard the shot or something distract him, the Saint of Killers, and then ultimately they're in apartment number 14. And, as he came in, he saw Jesse's name written on the pancake. So I thought this was interesting, too, with Ganesh. It was the show he was the day the dying died. So definitely a play on words there. Tulip recommends that Jesse stops using the Genesis power. Like, hey, if you want him to stop finding us. And then what is really cool is, if you guys caught this, so they go through the history of the Saint of Killers. And we find out that the Saint of Killers, 1861, was involved in the Civil War, and he had a bunch of different names. So he was called the Butcher of Gettysburg. So, but then he's a cowboy, and the cowboy falls in love, has a wife, has his kid, and when he loses his family is really when he changed. He became the Hell's Butcher. And then they let us know the reason for all this is he is the only living man without a soul. So in 1881 is the tornado, and they made this reference that they said, and this was episode number 51. So if you guys caught pieces of this, they're in the library, and this is chapter number 51 of what's called American Psychos. And they said the Saint of Killers is actually feared by Satan, and I don't know whether or not you guys caught this, but at the end of they're playing this nice music in the background. It's like, this has been an episode of American Psychos. Stay tuned for Chapter 58 where we discuss Dick Cheney. Blew me away. So I'm not a real, don't talk a lot of political stuff on here, but I thought the fact that they went out of their way to mention Dick Cheney as American Psycho number 58, pretty incredible stuff. He ranks right up there with American Psycho. So definitely a dig from Seth Rogen. And we saw Dennis is in trouble, who is Cassidy's son, the old man, that we don't know at this point. And Jesse saves him. He says, don't hurt him. I'm on my way. Awesome, awesome stuff there. So you knew at this point a deal was going to go down. And because of all the research, Jesse knows what he wants. And we don't know at this point, but there is a plan. And I'm going to let you guys catch up with just a few comments. And because some of the people, if they're going to catch it a little bit late, they're going to watch the playback. So I'm really interested to see a little bit of the play-by-play and what were their highlights. I don't know if episode number 1 of Preacher is on Netflix. I have not checked it out, to be honest with you. I will tell you, though, episode number 1 is kind of like the prequel to the comic books, so it's like all different material. And it's different. Like, I'm sorry, season number 1. I might have said episode number 1. But season number 1 is, it can be a little strange at times. This is out there, but there's more of a method, I think, to season number 2. It follows a path. Like season number 1, I thought was just kind of all over the place. They were trying to tell a story that has not been told yet. This one, it's a little bit easier, I think, to follow the storyline. Oh, you know what, Emmy? I not only have cheat sheets, I've got 5 pages of, listen to this. You know what? I got 6 pages of notes. I can tell you what was in the background. I was like just watching and jotting everything down. It was cool stuff. Once we got into the first 5 minutes, I was like, you know what? I got to write this stuff down. I'm going to forget something. So the standoff. Jesse comes back. He knows that the Saint of Killers wants something. And the Saint of Killers even tells him, he says, you better talk quick before I put a bullet in your head. And Jesse says, God is gone. And prove it. So they watch the tape we've seen over and over again. And we find out that all of this is done. So remember we saw the Saint of Killers living that same day over and over and over again? Well, I guess I didn't know. I didn't appreciate the fact he doesn't have a soul. But here's the thing. And here's a very psychological question to each of you. And then we'll get back to Preacher. This Saint of Killers is the only person on earth that doesn't have a soul. So if you don't have a soul, you can't be judged, right? So this guy can get away with anything. We're wondering, like, why does he have the ability just to go out and kill whoever? Because he's not going to be judged for it. Who's going to judge him? So this guy can go out and just, remember the hotel where he's murdered like a whole lot of people that were just out there in the road, like shooting, that one scene? Well, it didn't matter because nobody can judge him. That makes sense? And we'll hold up at that point. I'm going to read a couple comments to see if you guys are still on board, if you agree. Yeah, it's why he can kill kids. I mean, this Saint of Killers, we're looking like, oh my God, this guy is ruthless. But then we find out, okay, it doesn't matter. Kel, that's a good point. Unfortunately, they have souls, and if, depending on, I won't get into too much of it, but obviously if you believe in certain religions, then they have souls and they will be judged. But some people act as if they don't, right? That there's this darkness and they just do stuff. Well, the Saint of Killers can do without consequence what a lot of people do with consequence. So he's neither good nor bad, even though he's doing what we would perceive as bad stuff. He's just going to keep walking around. And Jesse says in that point, we find out that the Saint of Killers, his sole purpose, I get it, sole purpose. Okay. His purpose is to get into heaven. Voila. Jesse gets it. You can't get into heaven without a soul. I know what you want. I'm going to go out and get you a soul. Sold on that concept. All right, I'll stop. I use soul, and sold. The puns I'm full of puns tonight. The Saint of Killers gives him an hour. So Jesse has to go out at 5 p.m. and be back by 6 p.m. with a soul. Well, lo and behold, what were the Japanese men doing that we thought they were extracting a cure? No. They were selling souls. So Jesse goes to Papa Bebe, House of Voodoo. He goes in there first and says, look, I want a soul. I stopped doing that 10 years ago. This Japanese business with all their technology put us out of business. Oh, speak of the devil. There's another pun, right? I thought that was great. So Jesse goes to Papa Bebe, the voodoo house, to get a soul to give to the saint of killers so he can get into heaven. And then they're put out of business by this company, and they say, oh, speak of the devil. And for whatever reason, they take a hot dog break at like 5:15 every day. Interesting stuff. So then we understand the purpose. And this is where I knew. At this point, I knew what was going to happen, because Jesse's in there, and he's looking for... The souls have to match. So they go through this, and he's finally sitting with the guy and says, how about your soul? It doesn't match. So whose souls match? Jesse's soul matches. That could be a turning point for the entire episode. Now, granted, they only took one... Nope. Well, no. 15% of your soul got them $150,000 is what they gave him to check for, Emmy. But then he resold that for $2,700,000. So that's a nice markup. Yeah, $150,000 check. But the Japanese businessman did say to Jesse, do you know who you're stealing from? That kind of went under the radar. So I don't know who they're stealing from. I'm sure that's going to come up in the future. Because, well, Jesse wasn't really stealing from him, but he did ask them to perform a service. So maybe that comes up at a later time. But they didn't have a single match, and the businessman, his soul didn't match. So Jesse cuts off a piece of hair and puts it down there, and it's a match. So Jesse and the Saint of Killers both have a similar soul type. But they take 1% of Jesse's soul. Now, here's the thing. I don't know how much theology is going to play into this. Maybe Jesse won't be able to get into heaven because he doesn't have a pure soul. If it's only 99% complete, 99%, I say 99 cent? Yeah, forget that. If it's only 99% complete, that could be a factor. I'm not saying it is, but Jesse is missing something now. It's not going to be pure, and we don't know how Genesis selected him or how that all happened. So will Genesis be weakened now because Jesse does not have his full soul? There definitely is there's going to be a trade-off. I can tell you that. But I did think it was interesting that the first guy had to give up 15%, Jesse had to give up 1%. So Stephanie, her question is, why would Tulip try to get info from Saint of Killers asking about his daughter? She wasn't. What she was doing is she was trying to sympathize with him, because the situation was this. Dennis is sick. The Saint of Killers touched Dennis. Now, that's very, very important. So the Saint of Killers touched the older man, Dennis, and he's sick. He's infected. He needs a doctor. So Tulip walks in and she's talking to him and says, look, you got two of us. Let the old man go. Let him go get a doctor. You still got us. And he has his head down. He's not listening to her. So then she says, hey. And she says it like this. She goes, hey, I know about your daughter. And she shouldn't have said that. She didn't want to know about his daughter. She said, I know about your daughter. And that just set him off. You don't talk about his daughter. So he picked her up by the throat and said, if he ain't back by 6 o'clock, the medicine is not going to help him. Tosses her to the side. When she walks back in the room with Cassidy, she says, "He touched me." So now she knows she's infected. And if you saw the sneak peek from next week, she's acting crazy. They're in some club and she's kissing Cassidy. I mean, her behavior is going to change because of this with the Saint of Killers. Now, I'm going to give you my prediction of what I think is going to happen because of that and what happened at the end. So, A.J. Jepson says, if Genesis is tied to his soul, would Saint of Killers have 1% of that power? Possibly. I mean, I do think there is a connection. Now, I don't know if 1% is going to get him out of the predicament he's in, but we're going to talk about that. What's up, Cynthia Gibson? Yo, yo, yo. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. And I'll get some shout-outs in a couple minutes, but that's where I want you guys to think. I want you to think about how deep this all goes. So, Jesse does get the match. We know, at the last minute. So Saint of Killers, it's like 5:59. He goes in the other room. He grabs Tulip again. It's kind of cool. He does give her a couple extra seconds because he doesn't kill her in the living room. Takes her into the kitchen and is getting ready to chop her up with the sword. Cassidy, once again, you can see Cassidy's real feelings for Tulip because the sword goes back and Cassidy grabs the sword with his hands, with his bare hands. Awesome, awesome effects there. Cuts off every one of his fingers. And just as Cassidy loses his fingers and the Saint of Killers is ready to chop Tulip up, Jesse walks in the door. I got it. I got your stuff. And then there was a long commercial break at that point. I'm like, come on, man. Give me some more notes. So after the long commercial break and we figure out... actually, you know what? I'll get to the last section here in a minute because I thought that was one of the most telling things until the sneak peek. He did... Tulip needs to leave, and she kind of looks at Jesse, you okay, you okay? But you can tell she's sick. They get Dennis, and Cassidy gets his fingers back on. Also thought once again, Cassidy's like, you okay, Tulip? Puts the hand on the knee with his fingers that don't really function very well. But you can still see the affection there. And then the standoff. The standoff between the Saint and Jesse. So the reason Jesse was not able to command the Saint of Killers is because the Saint of Killers is the only person without a soul. Well, now that he took the pill and he has some of Jesse's soul, Jesse commands him. Get down on your knees. But when he say it like this, he said, get down on your knees. That sounded pretty evil. Sorry. I don't know if that's my Jesse voice. You guys hear that play? Everybody, like the hair on the back of your neck, if you have hair on the back of your neck, maybe you don't, it's going to stand up when that goes. There's literally like a 10-second lag, so I'm just waiting to see the reactions like, oh man, that was kind of evil sounding kills. Yeah. If you have a gamer tag like Kilzhot and you say something like really loud, like that deep, mysterious voice, it doesn't, yeah. Alright, so the Saint of Killers says to him, like, I don't get on my knees for nobody. And then he says it in the Genesis voice. I guess I used my Genesis voice too early. So it started out, he was like, get down on your knees. He didn't do it. But then when he did the deep Genesis voice, he did it immediately. And then the guns go down. And he's like, take out this, take out that. So he has him under his full control. And then it sinks into Jesse like, you know what? Oh, that's it. Now you will do what I say you're going to do. Right? So if hold on. I'm reading James Gallegos says, Saint of Killers have control over Tulip because he will have part of Genesis. Tulip might become the new... I am agreeing with that. I definitely think that that is going to happen. So Jesse basically brings it back on him and says, oh, okay, you thought that I was going to let you into heaven? No, no, no. I'm going to send you to hell where you belong. And we think this is the end of it. However, the Saint of Killers really dropped... You see the tie between the Saint of Killers and Jesse, how they're intertwined at this point, because the Saint of Killers says to him, oh, you want to send your soul to hell? Bombshell. The look on Jesse's face was priceless, like, wait a minute, I didn't think this all the way through. So now, if Jesse's soul's in hell, or at least part of his soul is in hell, can he get the rest of it to heaven? So he's confused. He doesn't know what to do. And this is where it got a little bit odd. And Northside Queen, I agree with that. So she says, Saint of Killers having a piece of Jesse's soul is going to backfire somehow. So Jesse knows he can't kill him at this point. What does he do? He says, let's go for a little drive. He takes him, locks him up in the back of the armored car, which you can't open. They've tried to even blow the door off. We can't. And drives it into the swamp. Now, here's the thing. At first glance, and I'm sure they thought this out, if it's waterproof, so it's not going to drown him, but he's not going to get oxygen. So I thought, okay, maybe he was driving him into the swamp because he just wants him to be stuck in this purgatory and not die. So the question is going to be, he is still the Saint of Killers, so he has a soul, but it doesn't make him human. So I guess in theory, you still have to have a certain way of killing the Saint of Killers, like probably one of those bullets. So maybe he won't run out of oxygen. I mean, he is the Saint of Killers. I'm a little bit in the gray area with that. Like, can he suffocate? Can he drown? I don't think he can. So I think he's going to be stuck in this thing and just not run out of oxygen. I don't know. That was a little bit of an iffy area for me. Yeah, I mean, see, Kel, that's why I was a little, I got to see how that plays out. So Jesse also went back and hid his weapons. Now, I think Jesse has a feeling like this could all come back somehow. But hiding the weapons, making it more difficult for him to have his stuff, and these weapons are really, they're high end. You know, they have the type of bullets that are going to kill somebody, like really kill somebody. Yeah, see, Matt, I kind of agree with that. Like, he doesn't have a weakness. The soul may help him, but he can't die otherwise. So, if that's the case, he's locked in a prison he can't get out of. He's stuck in the bottom of a swamp. So, A, someone's going to find him and let him out. Or B, which I think, this is my prediction, if you guys are ready for the prediction, Tulip is sick, changed, different. So I got a feeling Jesse might have to go back and tow him out and let him out himself. That's kind of what I think is going to happen at some point. Jesse's going to realize that the Saint of Killers has sickened all these people, that maybe he's also the cure somehow. Just a thought, nothing confirmed. Oh, I see where you went with Jack. James is like, instead of an armored truck, Jesse should have put him on a train. A soul train. Yeah. Very good. I see what we got going on here. No gators. Yeah, if Jesse was going to send him to hell, he would have sent his own part of his own soul to hell. That would have been a difficult situation. All right, so you guys got at the beginning of this stream, you got my reaction. You didn't get it live, but definitely the enthusiasm did not wear off an hour later, or 15 minutes later after the show was done. My reaction to this is it was awesome. It was awesome. Love the storyline. I love how it became full circle. I like the future. I like the fact that Cassidy has already had the relationship with Tulip, and he's trying to make things right with Jesse. And next week in a sneak peek, Tulip is just going to lose her mind. She's going to go nuts. She left Jesse at the altar, basically. And, you know, there is this, he knows about Tulip and Cassidy, and now it's going to be rehashed. But this time it's not going to be Cassidy instigating. It's going to be Tulip. So Jesse's going to be a little bit shocked by all that, and he's going to know there's a change in behavior, and it's because of this death grip that this guy put on. So we got a couple minutes left in the stream, another 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to open it up to your thoughts, your comments. Matt, he reads the comics, so he's got some comic spoilers that he can throw out there. Also, Westwick, I agree with that. Westwick says, we all know we have not seen the last of the Saint of Killers. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Steph is like, but it was just a wee bit of his soul. Yeah. It was just a wee bit of alcohol. Or it was just a cigar, and yeah, I don't know. Random comments I'm throwing out there. Let's move forward. A wee bit of your soul, it's still part of his soul. It's still him. I guess that's the question, Matt, is are they pretty well scripted with the comics, or are there a lot of changes? And at some point I'll probably go back and read the comics once I get through Walking Dead. I mean, it is great. He's trying to be a father, right? Cassidy's like trying to make up for lost time. The smallest things can turn into gigantic problems, saith Moody the Muddy Girl. July 24, 2017. Very nice. I'm going to have to, hey, happy Tequila Day. Isn't that every day, Steph? Every day is Tequila Day. Okay. Yeah, I've heard the comics are very extreme. So I am super, super excited about the next edition of this. So I am going to, we're going to go ahead and wind the stream down. I do want to say thanks for you guys. I appreciate you guys showing up, the interaction. I think it's starting to get a little bit of traction. People are hyping it up a little bit more. Very excited to see that. Tomorrow night, I would love for all you guys to show up for random things. We're going to have some good topics to talk about. We always just sort of, we wing it, right? There's a lot of cool things going on. Wednesday will more than likely be a Walking Dead stream, depending on what information I can get my hands on. If it's light, that one is still tentative, so stay tuned for that. And then once again, we are going to, on Thursday, put together our first official top 9 list. So I will release a category if you guys want to check out the Facebook page. I'll let you know probably 24 hours in advance what the topic's going to be, what our top 9, so you can prepare. You can come in ready to discuss it. I'm going to throw together my top 9, use a little research, and pull some other top 10 lists. I'm going to keep it confidential now so you don't have too much time to prepare for it. And then also, I mentioned I've not finalized all the details, but there is going to be a daily segment. It won't be a live stream, but there will be a daily thing that we're going to put together. Could be some contests, could be some prizes, could be some things that we reward some people for interaction as well too. So thanks to all of you. Appreciate you being here. This is the Preacher reaction video, SOKOSHA, and I'm going to give a few shout outs. So I want to say thanks to all of you guys for being here. So James, appreciate your insight, your comments. Brene, got here a little bit late, but it's okay. Walking Dead Girl, popsicle shout out is like a popsicle on a hot summer day. Harley Quinn, thank you for being here. Appreciate your insight as well. Jamie Taylor, thank you so much. She's like, it's 10:55. Kills, come on, go on 5 more minutes. Kel, you want prep time. You'll have prep time, but I can't take all the spontaneity out of what we do. Moody the Muddy Girl, thank you for being here. And thank you for all you do for this channel. Grimes Girl, I know what Glenn's favorite restaurant is. Thank you. It's going to be a little different, Emmy. It won't necessarily be a, I don't know if I'll name the videos Daily Dose of Kills. That might, I don't know how people react to that. But I think it's going to be something that we can do daily. I'm not going to monopolize a lot of your time because we are already doing like 6 streams a week. It's going to be a 2 or a 3 minute video. But stay tuned. It'll be something you can watch, comment on. Not going to be something that ties you up, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. So I'm going to keep it light, and we'll go forward with it. Steph Richardson, thank you for being here. Happy Tequila Day. Any day that ends in Y is Tequila Day, right? Northside Queen, thank you so much. Matt Briggs, appreciate you being here. And hopefully we get all of you out for the Random Things chat. Just have a lot of fun with that. It's who did I miss so far? I know I missed a couple people in the shout-outs. Did I miss Kel? Kel and Emmy? I think I missed you both in the shout-outs. Soul Busters? We could probably come up with some really, really good soul analogies, right? Hey, soul sister. There you go. There's some Train, right? Isn't that Train? Because we talked about Soul Train, and then we got Soul Sister by Train. Everything's connected through Kevin Bacon, one way or another. Kevin Bacon, Emmy Bacon, see? See how we do it? We got Soul Train, we got Soul Sister by Train, it's all connected by Kevin Bacon, and we got Emmy Bacon in chat. You know what? We just went over the top. I missed AJ Jepson. What's up, AJ? I missed you. I think I missed again. Uh-oh. Sorry, AJ. I missed again. And we will give Bree a shout-out. You know what it is, AJ? It's the black and white thumbnail you have. I barely see it. You need something in some color. You need to put some color in your thumbnail. Like, spice it up a little bit. So I see it. Jumps off the page. All right. With that, we're going to say goodbye. Na 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 na. Hey hey hey. Peace, everybody. Thanks for being here. I will see you all tomorrow night for Random Things. Adios.